Everything we are is at every moment alive in us. Just remember, kid, you can quicker get back $1 million that was stole than a word that you gave away. Don't be seduced into thinking that that which does not make a profit is without value. Maybe all one can do is hope to end up with the right regrets. Until an hour before the devil fell, God thought him beautiful in heaven. Why am I trying to become what I don't want to be, when all I want is out there, waiting for me the minute I say I know who I am? The best work that anybody ever writes is the work that is on the verge of embarrassing him, always. Life, woman, life is God's most precious gift. No principle, however glorious, may justify the taking of it. You can't eat the orange and throw the peel away. A man is not a piece of fruit. The two most common elements in the world are hydrogen and stupidity. It is rare for people to be asked the question which puts them squarely in front of themselves. I may think of you softly from time to time, but I'll cut off my hand before I ever reach for you again. A child's spirit is like a child. You can never catch it by running after it. You must stand still, and, for love, it will soon itself come back. The very impulse to write springs from an inner chaos crying for order, for meaning. We are what we always were in Salem, but now the little crazy children are jangling the keys of the kingdom, and common vengeance writes the law. You can quicker get back $1 million that was stolen than a word that you gave away. Pop, I'm nothing. I'm nothing, Pop. Can't you understand that? There's no spite in it anymore. I'm just what I am, that's all. Be loving to him. Because he's only a little boat looking for a harbor. Peace. It is a providence, and no great change. We are only what we always were, but naked now. After all the highways, and the trains, and the appointments, and the years, you end up worth more dead than alive. If you believe that life is worth living, then your belief will create the fact. I know you're no worse than most men, but I thought you were better. I never saw you as a man. I saw you as my father. I cannot sleep for dreaming. I cannot dream, but I wake and walk about the house as though I'd find you comin' through the door. A character is defined by the kinds of challenges he cannot walk away from, and by those he has walked away from that cause him remorse. Will you let me go for Christ's sake? Will you take that phony dream and burn it before something happens? He's not the finest character that ever lived. But he's a human being, and a terrible thing is happening to him. So attention must be paid. Great stones they lay upon his chest until he plead aye or nay. They say he give them but 2 words. More weight, he says. And died. Immortality is like trying to carve your initials in a block of ice in the middle of July. You don't realize how people can hate. They can hate so much they'll tear the world to pieces. Never fight fair with a stranger, boy. You'll never get out of the jungle that way. Great drama is great questions, or it is nothing but technique. I could not imagine a theater worth my time that did not want to change the world. To suffer 50 weeks of the year for the sake of a 2-week vacation, when all you really desire is to be outdoors, with your shirt off. Figure it out. Work a lifetime to pay off a house. You finally own it, and there's nobody to live in it. There might be a dragon with 5 legs in my house, but no one has ever seen it. An era can be considered over when its basic illusions have been exhausted. They tried to escape technology, to stay away from that and still have relationships with their fellow humans. Very difficult. If personal meaning, in this cheerleader society, lies in success, then failure must threaten identity itself. There are certain men in the world who rather see everybody hung before they'll take blame. It is the essence of power that it accrues to those with the ability to determine the nature of the real. He's just a big stupid man to you, but I tell you there's more good in him than in many other people. When I was 17 I walked into the jungle, and when I was 21 I walked out. And by God I was rich. What victory would the devil have to win a soul already bad? It is the best the devil wants, and who is better than the minister? Reverend John Hale. Perhaps because there are those who believe that authority is all of a piece and that to challenge it anywhere is to threaten it everywhere. We have not many wills, but only one. It cannot be continuously compromised without atrophy setting in altogether. I don't know what the future is. I don't know what I'm supposed to want. Fear, like love, is difficult to explain after it has subsided, probably because it draws away the veils of illusion as it disappears. We must reimagine liberty in every generation, especially since a certain number of people are always afraid of it. A character is defined by the kinds of challenges he cannot walk away from. She catches a weakening in herself and downs it. She will not let herself be drowned in the sea that threatens her. All organization is and must be grounded on the idea of exclusion and prohibition, just as two objects cannot occupy the same space. The only thing you got in this world is what you can sell. And the funny thing is that you're a salesman, and you don't know that. The house is 2 stories high and has 7 rooms. It would have cost perhaps $15,000 in the early 20s when it was built. Work a lifetime to pay off a house. You finally own it, and there's nobody to live in it. The only thing you got in this world is what you can sell. And the funny thing is, you're a salesman, and you don't know that. Man, remember, until an hour before the devil fell, God thought him beautiful in heaven. Life, woman, life is God's most precious gift. No principle, however glorious, may justify the taking of it. Now, as the weeks passed, there was a future, there was a trouble that would not go away. Everything influences playwrights. A playwright who isn't influenced is never of any use. Figure it out. Work a lifetime to pay off a house. You finally own it, and there's nobody to live in it. I'll tell you boys, it's tough to be alone. And it's tough to love a doll that's not your own. Work a lifetime to pay off a house. You finally own it, and there's nobody to live in it. When one rises above the individual villainy displayed, one can only pity them all, just as we shall be pitied someday.